Reading today from the book of the letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verses 14 through 18. Just a reminder that Paul wrote most of these letters. He did not follow Jesus in his ministry. In fact, he was very against him. All right, and he had an awakening one day. And he turned from wanting to persecute Jesus and his followers to being one of the strongest advocates for sharing Jesus' message. And he traveled around and he just set up camp wherever he was and taught the people the things that Jesus had been teaching. And Paul was a great teacher, and he would move from one place to the next. And when he would leave the town that he was just in, it seemed like chaos would break out, and people had different ideas of what it was he taught them, and they would forget. And, you know, I think about that. We forget sometimes too, don't we? We forget the real basic teachings, that we love one another and that we forgive, and, you know, all of those kinds of things, because we get caught up in other things. So Paul had this practice, and some of his followers, of writing to these communities to most of the time help them get back on a straight path and to remind them of what he had taught them. So this is from 12:14 to 18. He says to the Romans, "Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." And today, on our Advent wreath, we light the candle that symbolizes peace. And according to Charles Fillmore, our co-founder in the Revealing Word, he defined peace this way: harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. Peace begins with us. It's an inside job. And that's what Paul was reminding the Romans. Sure, you could repay evil with evil, want to get even, all those kinds of things. That doesn't do you any good. And that's not what our way shower showed us to do. He didn't do that. He associated with everybody. He didn't leave anybody out. He didn't claim to know things that he didn't actually know. He went apart to pray often. He blessed everyone, no matter how they treated him. And then this last verse that says, "If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." Well, there are many quotes in Scripture that say all things are possible with God, right? So if it is possible, we know that it is. I talked last week about, do we really have hope that there could actually be peace on earth one day? We've got to hold on to that hope, for all things are possible. So let's move into a time of meditation, holding in our thoughts and in our hearts that peace. And Jesus described it at one point as the peace that passes all understanding, which simply means you're not going to find it by thinking it in your mind. So I invite you to just close your outer eyes and go within. You might find it easy to settle in if you just pause to notice what your body is doing right now. Invite it to relax. Loosen your shoulders. Set down anything you might be holding. Let your shoulders drop. Just settle in. And notice your breathing. Gently breathing in and out without even giving it a thought. The breath happens for you and through you. That's how it is with the Christ in you. It's there. You don't even have to think about it. And it's there. And when you think about it, when you give your attention to it, you can bring it forward and make great changes in your life. In your oneness with God, and you can create peace in your life and in the world. You can find that tranquility that Charles Fillmore spoke of when you become aware in your consciousness of the Christ within you. It's in you. It's in all of us. Connect now with the light of the peace that's within you. And check in with yourself to ask, how can I not only recognize this peace within, but be a promoter of this peace within and around me? Take a few moments in the silence. If your desire is for peace in the world and more peace in every situation in your life and within yourself, begin with yourself. In your home, in your spiritual community. Know that you can always come to a place of peace by consciously connecting to the Christ within you. And as we come back in consciousness into the presence of this room to continue with our service, may you feel a little lighter, a little brighter, and a little more peaceful. Enough peace to carry you throughout this day and this week, and know that whenever you desire, you can find that peace, even if just for a moment, by connecting to the Christ within. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. Their old familiar carols play. In music sweet, the tones repeat. There's peace on earth, goodwill to men. You've been hearing a lot of carols lately? Huh? They're all over the place. It's the most wonderful time of the year. You know, it's easy at this time of the year to get caught up in the joy of the holidays and to really be a believer. Singing those favorite holiday tunes, and we tune into other Christmas events and things that are happening. You know, it dawned on me that we kind of ignore the realities when we're in that festive mode, right? We can step away from the realities of the world. And I thought, well, perhaps we need that break, yeah? Because we're inundated with negative things in our world. And so sing the songs and enjoy the festivities. The second verse of that carol that we just heard Karen Carpenter sing, another Christmas classic singer, she said, I thought how as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. So in other words, she's saying, we keep singing the song. It keeps repeating. We know the words. We love to sing along. But the verse asks, are we just singing it, or are we actually doing it? You know, I shared with you a little bit a couple of weeks ago that there's controversy in the unity movement. Now, how could that be in a spiritual movement? Well, remember, it's made up of human beings who have differing opinions, each on their own personal spiritual path, growing in their own way. So the big to-do is about Christianity. And they say too many Christians out in the world are claiming to be Christians and not behaving like Christians. At least not like Jesus, our way shower, behaved and taught others to. You know that, loving everybody always, accepting all people just the way they are, forgiving everyone, even more than once, maybe 7 times, 70 times. Living in oneness. When we hear about those simple teachings of Jesus, we all might say, yeah, I can't claim that I'm living that every minute of every day. I see some very serious faces out here. Am I the only one who's not living this teaching of Jesus every moment of every day? Am I forgetting to accept all sometimes? Am I holding on to grudges or judgments other times? Well, there are many Christians that preach the scripture and lean into them and yet have difficulty acting like Jesus. I won't ask you to raise your hands if you're one of them. But if you're living in a human body, I can almost guarantee that you falter sometimes. We're all guilty of that. We forget our oneness. We judge others. We blame others. Buck passing happens. Or we celebrate, even just a little bit, when someone else gets theirs. Or we call forth karma. Karma will get you, to punish those who have hurt us. We hold on to past hurts. We have a tendency to forget that everyone has the ability to change. So there are some people in Unity that are saying we don't want to call ourselves Christians because Christendom has a bad name now. It has a bad rap. Because people might think that we're like those people who just quote the scripture and then we don't act like Christians. I say, instead of moving away from the idea that unity is based in Christianity, and we do use scriptures as a guide that we metaphysically and myotically interpret to say, what does this mean in my life today? I say, let's show them what Christianity really looks like. We won't be perfect, We'll forget. We'll want to make exceptions sometimes. Yes, I forgive all people all the time, but this one, this isn't the first time this has happened, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Be gentle with yourself. You got a whole lifetime to practice this. And practice makes perfect. If we endeavor to live this way, we can call ourselves a Christian. But what I love about Unity is that they call it practical Christianity. Practical means we know that we're not just divine beings, that we're not perfect, that we're human beings, and that we have our flaws. And so we here at Unity of Livonia have chosen to adopt a statement that it took a group of ministers and other leaders over 18 months to come up with this statement. And now people are disputing the statement. You can get a whole nother group of people together, give them 18 months, and they'll come up with a different statement that tries to define who we are. The words don't matter so much as the action. What do you care what people call you if you know who you are? So the statement that we've adopted from Unity Worldwide Ministries says, Unity is a positive, practical, progressive approach to Christianity based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. Unity honors the universal truths in all religions and respects each individual's right to choose the spiritual path. We have that posted in our lobby. We don't want to just sing the song and not live the words that the song is saying. When we sing peace on earth, goodwill to men, we're saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it my best effort today. And when I goof up, then I say, okay, I'm going to start again right now. Not tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to try again. Progressive means making progress, right? We're moving forward. And that's all we can do. And if we're not doing that, then we'll feel like verse 3 of that song we just heard. And in despair, I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And unfortunately, you don't have to look very far to find hatred and hostility. Could be in your own home, in your own spiritual community. Wars around the world that are sometimes based in disagreements over religion. So I was trying to come to an understanding about what's really going on between Israel and Palestine. I can't wrap my head around it. And it's been going on for so long. I mean, it happens and then it kind of goes away for a little while and it comes back again and it goes away and it's good. And it seems like a lot of it is religious differences and political differences and war for power, who controls. But I found some things that I thought were especially interesting during this Christmas season. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which is located in the West Bank, which is part of the Palestinian territories, which are occupied by Israel. You know, they're saying, don't go to Bethlehem now. It's not safe. 61% of the West Bank, where Bethlehem is in Palestine, is under direct Israeli military and civilian control. So there's rebellion. 74% of Israel is Jewish, 18% Islam, less than 2% Christian, while up to 99% of Palestine is Islam. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim Jerusalem, near where Jesus died, as their capital. It seems that they're fighting for the same thing and not being able to come to a peaceable agreement. You can be who you want to be, and we can be who we want to be, and we can live peacefully together. I still don't understand it all. I don't know all the politics behind it or all the religion, and I never will. But that's my prayer. That is my prayer for peace. That they will come to an understanding with each other. And then I ask myself, how can I pray for something like that when I have people in my own life that I have difficulty understanding and coming to that peaceful place with, because they always seem to be, just making trouble, kind of just being the devil's advocate or something. It's like we can never just agree. And then I understand that Jesus encountered that throughout his lifetime, and he gave them grace. It doesn't matter if we agree. I know who you are. I know you as a child of God. And so I will treat you that way. Much closer to home, when we think about the hatred in the world, you don't have to look far to hear stories about road rage and violence. It's daily. So it's no wonder people feel like there is no peace on earth, like the song says. But the last verse she sang said, "Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor does God sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail. With peace on earth, goodwill to men." There's a different variation of that verse that I think is the original that I like. God is not dead, nor does God sleep. For Christ is here, the Spirit near, brings peace on earth, goodwill to men. All we have to do is remember that. All we have to do is consciously connect with that truth that we know, the foundation of our faith. The pealing bells that they sing about, and then it dawned on me. I heard the bells, and then it dawned on me that as long as there is God and as long as there is the Christ presence, there can be peace on earth. I can continue to believe in that. I can continue to hope for that and pray for that. I can continue to let it begin with me. There are actually 3 more verses to that song. They're rarely sung, but they were written as part of the poem that became the song. The poem was written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in 1863 during the Civil War. Henry had been recently widowed. He had 6 children, and one of them was in the service and was severely injured in the war. Henry said he was thinking about how Christmas celebrations, and the bells ringing and the carols singing, seemed a mockery of what was really going on in the world. And then on that Christmas morning, when he wrote this poem, because he heard the bells ringing, it's Christmas morning, he said his faith was renewed because he recognized that as long as we stay connected with God, peace is possible. And came across an article written by Roxanne Mann. And she said, peace is knowing that the Lord of the universe is by your side and resting in that. It's not just knowing, but it's living it out. Peace is sitting in comfort and knowing that God is next to your side no matter what. Well, we know greater than that, right? We know that God is not only by our side, in front of us, behind us, above us, below us, within us, and in everyone and everything else we see. There is no spot where God is not. In our peace song that we often sing at the end of service, and will today, there's a line that says, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. In each moment, I'm telling you, and you got a lot of great people sitting out here. You're not going to be able to do it all the time. Life is happening out here. Things can get crazy. You're going to get thrown off track. Don't let that defeat you. In every now moment, when you become conscious, and sometimes we become conscious when we know that we're not feeling at peace. Let that be your reminder, like it was to Longfellow. Instead of saying, I wish those darn bells would stop ringing because there's not peace. Don't they realize what I'm going through right now? How can somebody tell me Merry Christmas when they don't know what this is going on and that's going on in my world? Let that be your reminder that you have everything you need to find the peace within you. So let's vow to live in the moment. We'll keep ourselves safer out there as well. I noticed that it's becoming a very heavy traffic time of year. Have you noticed? It's very important that we stay focused in the moment. But here are a couple of ways that you might stay in the moment and bring more peace into your life and into the world. Yesterday I was at Aldi. Whoever came up with this great idea that, that carts don't get left in the parking lot because you got to return it to get your quarter back is brilliant. I wish all the stores would do that. But yesterday, I was walked up to a man. I didn't have a quarter. I had 25 cents, but that doesn't fit in the slot. And he was unloading his groceries in the car, and I said, can I take that cart from you? I don't have a quarter. And I held out the 25 cents, and he said, take the cart and pass it on to somebody else. Paying it forward. One little quarter, but promoting this idea of working together in oneness in the world. And indeed I did. I passed it along to somebody else. When I was finished with it, they tried to give me their quarter, and I said, nope, I don't want the quarter. You pass it along to someone else. And so hopefully that would go on all day. Simple, simple things. This one's a little bit tougher. Ask yourself who you might need to make amends with. If peace really begins with you, who are you holding on to tension around? Perhaps it's time to have a heart-to-heart conversation with somebody, to be willing to start a relationship anew. Another way to promote peace is to honor the traditions and beliefs of others. Hanukkah, the festival of lights, which celebrates the triumph of light over darkness, began this past Thursday at sundown. It goes for 8 days. And each night, for 8 nights, Jews light a candle on their menorah. The shamash is the candle that lights all of the other candles on the menorah. Be the shamash. endeavor to bring light into the world. Believe that peace on earth and peace in the world is possible. And know that, as the song says, we must let it begin with me, with you. You have that responsibility. And the good news is, you know how to do it. Find it within yourself and then look for it in others. Peace on earth is possible.